Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. We're going to look at the commodities and do a daily technical analysis update. Again, this is just going to be my financial opinions here. And we're going to walk through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and the ETFs and commodities that I follow. Just kind of looking, I'm just looking over everything. Looks like we had a pretty down day for most everything. And yields look like they could be strengthening here. So let's go over it. Let's go chart by chart. We'll take a look at it real quick. And if you guys need any help with anything commodities or stock market related, definitely check out finding-value.com. Become a platinum member. Use the word discount in the coupon code if you like, and get yourself a discount. We do have a platinum members question and answer session Sunday at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So I'll see you there if you're a platinum member. So let's dive in. We're going to start with the DXY. DXY is slightly lower today, but I will say that the DXY does look like it wants to strengthen. There is not much selling pressure here. We've got the three big candlesticks. I call that the green army. Then you get the bloody nose type deal. It'll look a little bit different on a weekly candlestick. That's what it looks like on a weekly. But on the dailies, this looks good for a potential move higher in this, we'll call it the DXY relative strength indicator of the dollar against other currencies. And generally when this is strengthening, I should say yields are what causes the DXY to strengthen. So if we look at yields, the 10-year yield looks really good to strengthen. We've got a bullish engulfing today for yields, and we've got some pretty good strong pressure days before it. So that definitely looks like it wants to break higher. Higher yields and a stronger dollar, if those are paired together, and I know we don't have a stronger dollar today, but higher yields like this, and as strong as these yields are moving, they're going to cause an impact on asset prices. As yields go up, and if we break this trend line, which we are breaking it right now, can cause some of our assets to fall in price as these yields go on up. The 20-year bond price is throwing in a bearish engulfing. So yields higher means bond prices lower. So we got a nice big fat bearish engulfing on bond prices where we could see TLT head lower. TYX, which is the 30-year yield, heading higher is what it looks like, that nice big bullish engulfing. Potential move to the upside. So we've got yields going higher, bond prices going lower, and the DXY also looks prime for a move higher. This could very easily translate into lower prices of commodities, lower prices of the overall stock markets, and obviously lower bond prices. It doesn't mean that it's going to last forever. Doesn't mean that commodities are all going to be impacted in the same way. But we could see a little bit of a selling pressure move. And when I mean commodities, I'm talking precious metals go down in an increasing interest rate environment a lot of the times. And then oil might do all right. Oil is kind of the leading indicator of what drives interest rates higher. But we'll take a look at all of them and see what's going on. So the CRB index, slight small down day today. Nothing really to talk about here. It's just a small down day. CRB to S&P 500. Commodities outperform the S&P 500. We could see a move higher in commodities to the upside. And what that means is commodities could go up, but they might also go down at a slower pace than the overall markets when the interest rates go up. So it's one of those two combinations. Gold prices lower today, down 13.57 dollars per ounce. This still looks like to me that we could head lower. I don't see the buying pressure. We've got the two big selling pressure days. This generally has a small little kind of, we'll call it dead cat bounce, and then we're heading lower. So that looks like that can continue to the downside for gold. Silver also has that same characteristic, downside potentially. We do have support underneath it at 2160 or so. Platinum also following suit. This does look like we could go lower with platinum. There's no buying pressure in this general circle there. That's worth noting. So lower. XAU to gold ratio with the precious metals going lower, interest rates going up. This is all kind of synced together. We had a squeezing up of a rising wedge. We're breaking that, and that does look like we could head lower for the XAU to gold ratio, which means gold and silver miners will perform worse to the downside than gold itself. GDX also looking like it could potentially head lower. We got to see some buying pressure before I change my mind. SILJ also looks like it could head lower in the short term. Crude oil down 1%. Doesn't look that bad, actually. We had a down day. Buyers came in and bought it back up. I want to see what tomorrow has in store for us. I mean, we obviously could bounce around a little bit on this side, but we could also very well throw a bullish candlestick tomorrow and head on higher. So let's wait and see what tomorrow has in store. Natural gas, it's still trying to find a bottom. I'd like to see a lot more buying pressure down here to say that it has bottomed, like a bullish engulfing, a big bullish piercing, hammer candlestick, something on the lines of that, but we don't have that yet. XOP, yeah, you know me, getting a little more selling pressure. You know, this doesn't look great. It doesn't look bad. It's kind of in the middle here. We've got a nice, good bullish candle there and two small down days inside of it. So that is bullish. And it looks like we're in this pattern here. So I kind of drew this in here, a pennant formation pattern on the dailies. It looks a little bit different because this is the monthly candlesticks that we're looking at here. Here's the dailies. I kind of just grabbed these two. Maybe this is what is forming if it decides to come on up. There it is. That's what's forming. And this is a little bit of a weaker upper trend line because there's only three contact points, but there's a bunch down here. But that's what it looks like it's forming, and we'll see which way this thing goes for XOP. OIH is also getting a little bit of selling pressure. We do have some pressure over here that is mounting up, and I'll show the candlesticks I'm seeing that pop out. This is a bearish engulfing here. We've got kind of a stronger selling pressure move there. We came on up, and we have another one here and another one today, which is kind of a stronger selling pressure day. They're starting to pop up. Generally, those pop up before we see a move lower. So we could see a move lower in energy service companies. I know in some of the energy service companies today, we saw some, we'll say, stronger selling pressure among some of the smaller caps in the sector. But overall, on a big picture view, this still looks very bullish to move higher on the big long-term perspective. So long-term bullish, short-term bearish, and you've got those conflicting thoughts on that. U.UN, which is the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, we kind of zoom in here. We do get a little bit of selling pressure. This more or less is a bloody nose. It's just 2 days next to each other, 2 small days. Again, this still looks good for a potential move up. In the short term, though, I will say this. Short term, you're going to get it wrong 40 to 50%, 40% of the time or so. Maybe you're at a 50, 60%, we'll say, accuracy level. The big long-term, big picture view, as you see kind of these things move to a corner and kind of round and do a bottom, those are much more reliable. So in the short term, anything can impact price. In the longer term, this is definitely moving to the upside. It even kind of looks like XOP putting in, if I were to throw in this pattern, kind of a squeezing of that pattern there. URNM up 1.68%. We saw Camco release some earnings news. We're right on the trend line right now. Now, we had a very good drive here to the upside. We also have some strong selling pressure mixed in here. Today isn't necessarily a strong candlestick. It's kind of a weaker candlestick. So I do think we could potentially bounce lower a little bit and maybe do some bouncing before heading higher. That's what I'm seeing in the candlesticks. If this was a bullish kind of scenario and Camco did a very good call or whatever, we would have seen a nice, strong candlestick here that finished strong. But we didn't. We still saw some selling pressure throughout the day here. So I do think there could be some further downside in the short term before we take our big run up. TAN also getting that selling pressure. Remember, we had increasing interest rates today. That weighs down on some of these sectors, and this one's still getting some selling pressure left in it. So is the overall market. So the overall market can persuade this thing to go down in the short term. And maybe we have a little bit left of a little bit of a smaller down move before heading on up. COPX, slightly lower there. So this is a bloody nose on a monthly candlestick basis. But today, we're getting a little bit of a bearish setup here. We have selling pressure here. The bounce wasn't really that big. Another bearish engulfing. I do think we've got another move lower before heading higher in a lot of these stocks. LIT, same thing. I'm not seeing a big bounce here. I do think we could head a little bit lower in the short term. REMX, same thing. We are heading lower in the short term on this guy, so maybe we got a little bit more downside left. I don't think we're going back down here, but maybe we go and retest kind of in this general vicinity. I would say kind of in this general vicinity down here, where we get some support. Maybe it hits the blue trend line even. Overall markets getting a little bit of selling pressure, more so. Again, this looked really good here. This was a bullish engulfing. We're getting some stronger selling pressure. Interest rates are looking like they're going to break to the upside. And some of these sectors are very interest rate sensitive. That's what prices the assets. So if the interest rates go up, I do think we could see a lower stock market in the short term. Same with the NASDAQ. It's the same thing. This one's even more interest rate sensitive. And this here was from the lowering of the interest rates. And if interest rates go up, we could see it pull on back. EEM, still holding together quite well today, up 0.5% for emerging markets. I like emerging markets. I think they're very well positioned for a commodity boom and a weakening dollar at some point. But that's what we've got today. XHB also heading lower, another interest rate sensitive area, and maybe we get a retest here with XHB, with the home builders. MOO also heading lower. I think it's a bearish engulfing on this one when I was looking. We could head slightly lower to maybe sideways. Also interest rate sensitive. This one seems to trade more with the overall markets than the other ones. Copper up a little bit, surprisingly. Again, I don't see strong buying pressure here yet. I'll change my mind the second I see it, but I just don't see it yet, and we could still see a little bit more downside. Lumber heading back. It does not like those higher interest rates, but then again, this is the pattern. When we sit, we move, we come up, we come back to roughly this area, and then we'll see if we can move on higher for lumber. But we've broken the falling wedge. That is positive to the upside. Iron ore up 0.37%. Again, this thing is not, I don't know why this isn't updating here. Nickel up 1.42%. This thing's been pretty volatile, nickel. We broke out to the downside of this squeezing wedge right down there, and now we're still floating sideways to higher. So it doesn't look too bad. And again, guys, I play this in the long term. I don't play these short-term movements. Even though I do the daily technical analysis, I know a lot of people like it. I don't trade short-term. I'm not a trader. I do this stuff long-term. Aluminum looking like we're getting a nice big bounce in aluminum, 4.32%. What's weird, if I type in aluminum, this one only shows an up movement of 0.8%. But that is the inverted head and shoulders pattern that we broke out, and hopefully we head on higher here shortly. Baltic Dry Index basically flat today, up 0.33%, still looking like it's trying to put in a bottom. I think this is a false breakout. We are really cheap in the Baltic Dry Index, guys. I mean, really cheap. I think Baltic Dry Index is probably the cheapest of any asset class at this time. I know natural gas is as well. Maybe let's see what the Baltic Dry Index is against natural gas just for the heck of it. These are the two cheapest assets that I know of. And the Baltic Dry Index is cheap against natural gas even. It's on the cheap end. So Baltic Dry Index is incredibly cheap. Newcastle coal futures down 6.38%. I think it's catching up to the natural gas pullback because natural gas has been quite volatile. And just looking at this, we've got a long basing pattern. So the basing pattern went sideways for a long time. We broke out of that basing pattern. Let's see if there we go. This is the base. This is the breakout. We come all the way up, and then we're doing that return move. I don't know where this thing will go. Maybe it goes all the way back. Maybe it comes here. Maybe it comes to this area there. But that's the pullback. and then I think we'll get a big wave 3 out of this. This is the first wave. The second wave is the pullback. And then we're going to do a big third wave. So we're going through that second wave right now. It's not done for some of these commodities. Crude oil might be getting close to being done and heading higher, but that's what's happening. And then the liquidity in the system and those interest rates going higher. Does Ethereum and Bitcoin do not like those increasing interest rates. So we're dumping to the downside on both of these, showing us that we could see a little bit of a pullback in Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that's what I've got for today, guys. Not too bad. I'm hoping that some of these pull back further, like platinum. I would buy it, physical platinum, some more if it pulls back a little bit more. Some of the companies, you know, some of them are a little bit harder to read in terms of short-term movements. We've got buyers and sellers kind of duking it out back and forth, especially in energy service companies. They're going back and forth right now. Oil is looking like it's bottoming and trying to move on higher. So, you know, it's interesting to see kind of the dynamics of the energy service and exploration production and crude oil, the prices of crude oil, the commodity itself, and natural gas. All these things are tugging and pushing and pulling on all the prices in the system. Interest rates going up like that, it's going to be a headwind for a lot of these sectors. So we could see some headwinds in the short term with the interest rates going up, looking like they want to break to the upside. So we'll see if they break. We'll watch it together here on the channel. If you guys want to join, definitely join. Give me a thumb up for the content if you like it. And join our community, finding-value.com. Become a platinum member. You can ask questions this Sunday at 5 p.m. I do tape those. I also post those on the website. So if you guys want to follow the website, you can see what's going on there. And right now, we've got some volatility. So get ready for some volatility. Hold on, and we'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.